Hello and welcome to Lorinalandia. Today I would like to share 3 techniques that I use to overcome negative self-talk. And basically, these techniques are not a short-term solution. These are techniques that I use as a long-term solution. These are techniques that are not quick fixes. These are techniques that will take a while to heal practice, and it will take a while to overcome. But when you do it, it will last long. These are not quick fixes for negative self talk, these are long term investments. So, first, when we start listening to ourselves, when we start hearing the discourse in our minds, and imagine we might have not paid much attention in the past of how we talk to ourselves, and the first time that we actually sit down and start to listening our internal discourse. And what I mean by internal discourse is like the thoughts that run through our minds, the dialogues that we have in our minds. At the beginning, when I did not listen to my internal discourse, I will say it was like TV that is turned down in the background just to make you company. You know, when you like, at least me when I was younger, I'll turn on the TV in the house. Now I don't have a TV, but when I was younger, I will turn on the TV in the house just to have like company per se, just to have some noise in the house so I wouldn't feel as alone per se. And at the beginning, how I would describe my unawareness to my self talk was like a TV in the background, a TV that you turn on and is speaking. You're not paying too much attention to it, but you kind of listen to it, right? So the first time that I tapped into my internal discourse, I was a bit shocked. To be quite honest, I listened to it for the first time and I was like, oh, I am mean to myself. Like, I say uh, derogatory words. I say like very hurtful words towards myself. For example, I'll do something wrong and like in my mind, I'll tell myself, you stupid. Or like I'll get something wrong and I'll say to myself, you're dumb. Or maybe I'll look at myself in the mirror and maybe like see some fat or see myself bloated and be like, you're ugly, you're fat. And the first time that I listened to it, I was a bit shocked because I was unaware of how hurtful and mean I was being towards myself. So the first time that I listened to it, right, and I start listening all these words, all these like hurtful words like stupid, dumb, ugly, etc. All these words for words. One technique, and the first technique that I have used, and I think is a very powerful and long-lasting technique. And this is a technique that is not easy. This is a technique that will bring a lot of emotion, and that is the purpose of this technique. This technique I use for healing and to kind of let go of the emotion and to overcome the emotion by feeling it. So this technique is a bit hard to go through. More at the beginning, when you're not used to feeling your emotions, this is a technique that will basically trigger you for you to feel your emotions so you can feel them out and let it out. But this at the beginning, especially if you're not used to feeling your emotions and tapping into emotions, it is a bit difficult, I'm not gonna lie. It gets better with time, with practice, with knowing how to move through your emotions. And this is a technique of like, imagine, I'm doing something in my day to day, I do something wrong, and I call myself stupid in my mind. And I asked myself, who was the first person to call me stupid? And I sit with that word and I think to myself, who was the first person who told me that? And I realized the more that I did this practice, it's usually someone in childhood, someone that was close to you in your environment. Usually it's parents, but I think it depends really of your childhood experience. For me, it was my parents because they were the closest people to me in childhood. And I've noticed this pattern that when I ask myself, who was the first person that told me this? It was always coming from the outside of me. It was not me that taught myself I'm stupid. It was the outside, someone from the outside of myself, usually a mother, a father, family member, someone close to me growing up, that told me these words, and I have integrated them inside of myself. It was not something that I came up with, it was something that was taught to me, that was projected onto me. So what I do when I'm listening to this internal discord and I call myself for stupid, dumb, ugly, fat, whatever the word is, I ask myself, who was the first person to tell me this? And imagine, usually what I try to do is, okay, I listen to myself, I say a mean word to myself. I ask myself, who was the first person that told me this? And then I try to clear my mind in the sense of when I'm asking this question, I'm trying not to have a lot of things in my mind. I'm trying to have a mind clear. I ask myself this question, who was the first person? And I don't force a thought comes to me. I don't force a memory comes to me. So I'm in a state of not thinking, and when I ask myself that question, I just let my mind ramble, not forcing but letting it flow. And usually an image pops up in childhood, a memory that I had in childhood of someone close to me, usually parents, telling me this. And that's when I realized that really my self talk, my negative self talk, was a projection from others, and it was a taught behavior from others. Because, of course, we don't grow up with this. We are not born with these conceived ideas. These conceived ideas are taught to us. These conceived ideas are projections of others. So I go to this memory of the first person that told me I was stupid, dumb, fat, ugly, whatever it is. And I sit with that experience, I sit with that memory, and I feel it. How do you feel, right? At least, how do I feel it? Basically, when I have that memory in my mind, I hold on to the emotions that memory brings. I don't hold on to thoughts. I try to actually clear my mind. The only thing in my mind is that experience, but it's not on repeat. That experience only serves me to have an emotional reaction. When I have an emotional reaction to that experience, and by emotional reaction, I mean a sensation in my body, can be a pit in my stomach, can be the tightness on the chest, can be the willingness to cry, and I hold on to that sensation. And I try to hold on to that sensation as a way of clearing. So I focus on that sensation because I've noticed that at the beginning when I was so learned and so taught to reject my emotions that imagine as a way of escapism, I'll have a memory, I'll have an emotional reaction, and my mind was like pushing me to think of something else as a way of escaping my own emotions, as a way of coping with overwhelming emotions. So usually what happens in my internal process, I have a memory, I have a sensation, I have an emotion, and my mind wants to run away, wants to rationalize, wants to think of other things as a way to escape what I'm feeling. So that's why I say hold on to the emotions in your body while your mind is quiet. Trying to quiet the mind and focusing on the sensations in your body. That is for me the trick. So I hold on to these sensations and I basically hold on to them as a way of purging them. I feel them in my body. I try to tap into my body, try to tap into the sensations in my body. and I try to clear my mind. And while I'm feeling these emotions and while I'm feeling these sensations in my body, I say to myself, I love you unconditionally for exactly who you are, exactly how you feel, without changing anything. For me, you are perfect as you are. You don't need to change anything for me to love you. You are safe and taken care of just the way you are. It is safe. It is a loving place. You are taken care of for you to feel these emotions. So what I do is I hold on to the emotions in my body, to the sensations in my body, and I feel them until they don't have feeling. And this is the way that I kind of use to process and experience. Basically, this is going to the roots of your negative self-talk. This is going to the first time that you were projected this thought, that you projected this belief system, that you projected this idea, and feeling it so you can heal from it. Because imagine, emotions is just your body trying to heal, process, and let go of an experience. Your body has like infinite wisdom, like nature, it's here for a reason, and it has survived these many years for a reason. Our body knows how to deal with this experience. It is our own active rejection that again was taught to us, that probably now we do unconsciously. It's our active rejection of ourselves that stops the process of healing, because feeling is your emotion is just that, is purging. Is feeling your emotions, you don't feel them anymore, because the only way for you to not feel it is to feel them. Basically, it's a process of going to the root of that negative self-talk, going to the root of that projection and just feeling it so you don't feel it anymore. Is a way of letting go, is a way of healing, is a way of purging. Because imagine when I think in society we have this like kind of toxic positivity of, for example, when we have a negative self-talk, the advice is think positively about yourself. Say the opposite, like imagine if you say if you feel like you are ugly and you say to yourself that you are ugly, the solution is say to yourself that you are beautiful. Look at yourself in the mirror and say that you are beautiful. But that doesn't change the way I feel. That may be like a quick fix, a temporary fix. I can like trick my mind and distract myself to think, oh, for 5 minutes I think I'm beautiful. But the thought that you are ugly is still in your mind. It will still come through. Like that thought and that idea did not disappear out of thin air because I'm putting in efforts to say to myself, I'm beautiful. I cannot heal something by trying to reject it. I cannot heal something by basically believing the opposite. The only way that I found healing, the only way that I found really letting go and really transforming and really do not think about myself that way was going to the root of the first person that told me this, was going to the root of this projection, and by feeling it, by letting go this emotional attachment, by processing it, because feeling it is processing it and feeling it is letting go of it, right? During this time that you are feeling your projections, this is my second technique to overcome negative self-talk that I use while I am feeling the pain of these projections, while I'm feeling the emotions of these projections. I try to look at the world I try to describe the world without value. What do I mean by this? Trying to change my discourse, the way that I speak about the world without words of value. For example, instead of saying, I am dumb, I say to myself, I don't know this. It is not a value of good and bad. A value of good will be I'm intelligent. A value of bad will be I'm dumb. The neutral standpoint is I don't know this. Instead of saying to myself, I'm ugly, I say to myself, I'm a body. Beautiful is the positive aspect. Ugly is a negative aspect. I go to the neutral. I'm just a body. I'm just a person with a body. And I try to shift also the way that I look at the world, like looking at the world without judgment, instead of putting value in the world or saying this is good, this is bad, this is beautiful, this is ugly, this is dumb, this is intelligent. Wherever it is, I try to look at it without judgment, without value. I try to look at it in reality. So this means, for example, if I think something is dumb or stupid, I say to myself, this is not working in this environment. It has no value, it has no positive or negative value, it's simply not working. Instead of something like looking at the world and say, I don't like this, it's ugly, I say, it's not for me. Maybe it is for somebody else, but for me, it's not for me. I will not use this piece of clothing, I will not put this in my house because it's not for me. Trying to look at the world without judgment really helps looking at yourself without judgment. Because at the end of the day, the way that we perceive the world is the way that we perceive ourselves. The judgments, the connotations, the value that we are projecting in the outside world is a reflection of who we are, how we think of the world, of our values and connotations. That is also the reason why, like, negative self-talk has a lot to do with projection. Everything comes to projection. Like when you really listen to yourself and you ask yourself, who was the first person that told you with this? There is always a first person. This doesn't come off thin air, it's a projection. The way that you look on the outside world is a projection. Everything is a projection and is a reflection. And you are really empowered to choose how you see yourself in the world. You are really empowered to choose what resonates with you and what is authentic to you. You are really empowered to choose what is the value that you put on yourself and in the world. So I think coming to a neutral way of speaking about the world really helps in dismantling the negative self-talk. Because after a while of doing this, I noticed I started doing on the outside world. I started talking about the world in a neutral standpoint while I was asking myself, who was the first person that told me this? And feeling those emotions, doing those at the same time, those two techniques at the same time. I really start to notice that my mindset started to shift. I didn't look at myself with any sort of judgment. I was just accepting myself as I am and as it is without judging myself for anything, good or bad. I'm not saying that judging yourself yourself in a good way or judging the outside world in a good way isn't healthy, because I think it is. But I think when recovering from negative self-talk and when recovering from pain of judgment, I think first is good to be neutral, and then you can go one step further and start to see like the good things in life, start to talk to yourself with like positive connotations. But I think first neutral, I think, is very healing, and accepting yourself as you are, because I also realize that's a big part of unconditional love. Unconditional love is accepting yourself exactly as you are, exactly how you feel, without judgments, without value, simply saying you are worthy because you are who you are. Loving yourself, there is a difference between liking and loving. You can like something and you can dislike something, but love accepts everything. Love is about accepting the things that you don't like about yourself, and both can coexist at the same time, and both can exist at the same time. I've learned that unconditional love is about accepting myself in any process or stage of life. It is not about shaming myself by maybe devaluing some things or valuing others. It's about accepting me as I am. It's about accepting reality as it is. Because I think uh, words of value can, when not used intentionally, can be very deceptive, and we can really use them to kind of create illusions about ourselves and the world. So I think coming to what is reality, right? Reality is without judgment, is without value. We are the ones that put value into reality. We are the ones that are creating judgments around reality, right? Reality just is, reality just exists, and we are the one making conceptions out of reality. So, coming to this neutral way of speaking about the world, coming to this neutral way of viewing the world with words without judgment, trying to see reality as it is, without good or bad, just this is what is happening, this is the behavior of this person. For example, when you see somebody doing something that we might not enjoy or we might consider bad, like, I don't know, this person is maybe hurting another person, instead of saying that person is bad, that person is not a good person, seeing that person like that person is hurting that person. That's it. I'm not putting any judgment on it. It's just a reality. That person, the actions that this person is having towards that person is hurting person B. The actions the person A is having to person B is hurting person B. I'm not putting any judgment on it. I'm not saying you're a good or bad person. I'm just stating reality. And trying to look at the world without judgment helps look at ourselves without judgment, which is really helpful in the beginning stages of healing from negative self-talk. And these two techniques are the beginning. These two techniques are a beginning that it will take a while, because it kind of takes a while to kind of deprogram your brain. It takes a while to feel your emotions and to like deprogram your brain of judgments, words of value, and conceived notions. It takes a while. It's not a quick fix. It's not something that also you should do every day, try to do it like so intensely. It's something that is natural and it comes to you. Is like you start by, when you notice a word, just by noticing, you're not even like quite looking for it, or if you look for it, you just like look a little bit. I don't advise going with it. I don't advise going like full deconstruction, full listening to yourself. No, this is a process that takes time, is a process that is calm and should be taken with patience, love, and compassion. It is not something to be rushed. It's a process that should take long, because it takes long to change your mind. It takes time and patience and practice for you to change the way that you view yourself. It's not quick, it takes time. And that's fine, that's natural, that's normal, and that's actually the healthy thing to do. The healthy thing to do is to take time with your progress, not try to rush it, because also you are deserving of love exactly as you are, exactly how you feel right now. You don't need to change anything about yourself to be deserving of love. You don't need to change anything about yourself to be deserving of worth. This is a process that takes time, and there is no rush, because you already are everything as you are. You already are deserving of love as you are. You are already worthy as you are. So this is a process that we do for ourselves, not for the world. We do for ourselves with calm and ease and patience. We don't try to rush it, because imagine when our body and our mind is ready to heal something, it will be noticeable. This is not a force that you put. This is a natural process of your mind popping into with this idea, with these memories, with these experiences, and you're like, oh, okay, so my body and my mind now is ready to see this. Let me feel the emotions of this words. Let me feel the emotions of this memory. Then let me feel the emotions of this experience. Your body and your mind knows when it's ready, and it comes to you naturally when it's ready. It's not a force that you exert, it's a flow that you accept. So basically, this is a journey of you start listening to your mind. Again, you don't look for it, you don't dig it, you just listen. You just listen to it. And you notice a word that is negative. You take that word, you feel your emotions. Feeling your emotions, especially at the beginning when we have been rejecting them for a long time, it is exhausting. It is very tiring. It takes time. It takes a lot of energy. So that's one reason why it's also very important to be calm, patient, and don't force it, and just take it day by day, like a little bit every day. You don't need to spend like long amount of hours every day to feel this emotion. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, amazing. You're doing a great job, sweetheart. And that's healthy, and that's perfect. That's perfect. Because also part of loving yourself is accepting yourself as you are, even the parts that you don't like about yourself. Loving yourself is accepting the parts that you want to change and loving the parts that you want to change, because all of them are you. All of them are already worthy of love. All of them are already worthy. So this is a process that should be taken real slow, real calmly, not a force that you exert, simply an experience that you accept. So you start listening to your mind, you start healing, right? And you start feeling your emotions. It really helps to take out value of the way that you speak about the external world. Because again, the way that we view the world is the way that we view ourselves. So when you start speaking about the world without judgment, you start speaking about yourself without judgment and coming to this neutral way of speaking. And I think for me, the healthiest way of speaking is neutral. And I'm going to talk about the first step, that is starting to say positive word of affirmations. But it's not saying I am beautiful or anything of that, because again, your worth is not dependent on how smart you are. Your worth is not dependent on how beautiful you are. Your worth is dependent on exactly who you are right now, exactly how you feel right now. So after like you feeling these emotions, you coming to this neutral way of speaking about the world and then about yourself. Positive words of affirmation are very helpful as well. And what do I mean by positive words of affirmation? Okay, so we are listening to our mind and we call ourselves dumb, and we see this memory of something that happened in childhood, maybe a parent, as we were playing and something fell or something like that, and our parent were like, oh, you dumb. Going to that moment and asking yourselves, this is my first technique. Going to that moment and asking yourselves, what did we wanted to listen from that person? Instead of dumb, how did we want that person to react? And it's usually things like, hey, I'm here for you. Hey, I love you exactly who you are. I'm here to support you. I'm here to take care of you. And those are the words of affirmation that you should be saying to yourself. Is not, I am worthy, I am beautiful. You can say it, amazing. But I just don't want to fall for the fallacy that you are worthy because you are smart or beautiful or anything of that. I want to kind of teach my brain to love myself as I am, without having to produce anything on the outside world, without showing the outside world, oh, I'm this, I'm that. Just loving myself as I am, no matter how I am perceived, no matter what I look like, no matter what I can show the world, just simply who I am. Like going to that memory, going to that moment and thinking, what did we want to listen from that person? And saying that to ourselves. And I realize it really comes from things like, you are supported, I support you, I take care of you, I love you as you are. You don't need to change. I already love you for everything. I'm here to protect you. I'm here to take care of you. I'm here to nurture you. And it's really, I've learned that positive self-talk is not about, oh, I'm so smart, or oh, I'm so beautiful. It's about, I love you as you are. I accept you as you are. I take care of you as you are. You are worthy as you are, without changing anything. You don't need to show, you don't need to produce, because you already are. There is nothing to change, only to accept. So these are my 3 techniques that I use to overcome negative self-talk. A summary here is: first, ask yourself, who was the first person that told you this? Listen to your internal dialogue. See the words that you're using towards yourself. Ask yourself, who was the first person that told you this? Feel those emotions. Second, looking at the outside world without words of value, just as reality, trying to accept reality as it is, without judgment or without value. It doesn't mean it doesn't have value, it doesn't mean it's not worthy, but seeing the world in a neutral standpoint. Thirdly, asking yourself, in that memory of when was the first time that somebody told you this, asking yourself, what did you want to hear in that moment, and saying it to yourself. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.